When I was 16, I worked at a small gas station on a lonely street. I did it for a quick buck, only working 20 hours a week. It was easy, and we were never busy, so most of the time, I would sit at the counter and do schoolwork. The gas station was small, inside and out. For pumps sat in front, just right off the side of the road, and the building itself was smaller. There was a one-room bathroom, one middle row of snacks, 2 fridges, and then my little counter area. We had a back room, but it was used as storage instead of a break room. Behind the building was a large dumpster, but to access it, you had to walk out of the front door and around the building. Most people I saw were passing through, only stopping for gas, a pee break, or a quick bite. The small town I lived in, Tattersall, wasn't a tourist town. The hot dogs that turned slowly on the burner were old, but I couldn't tell people that. My boss was a cheapskate and a money-hungry bastard, but he paid me, so I never complained. I let people buy chips that sat on the shelf for months, old hot dogs, and drinks that might as well have been a school science experiment. I always felt bad, and I was always a little nervous that I could get in trouble for selling the things. But my boss reassured me that everything would be fine, and nobody will ever know. One evening, it was slower than normal. I had only seen 2 cars, and that was nearly an hour ago. Naturally, when a black Honda Civic pulled up, it caught my attention. Stepping out was a couple, maybe in their late 20s. The man opened the back door and grabbed a backpack while the women walked around and began to pump gas. I went back to my schoolwork, not thinking very much of it. If they needed help, they could always just come inside. The husband disappeared from view, but it was whatever. I went back to my pre-calculus homework, trying to figure out trigonometry. I fucking hated trigonometry. A few minutes later, the couple got back into the car and pulled away. I caught a glimpse of the man, who no longer had the backpack. Being more focused on my homework, I just assumed he had already thrown it in the back of the car again, and I just missed it. Later that evening, I was about to take out the trash. Hillary, an older woman with a severe cigarette issue, was supposed to take over for me. I offered to take out the trash, to which she agreed, and I walked around to the back of the building. A bad smell hit me in the face as I rounded the corner, but it was a large dumpster with God knows what, so it was bound to smell. Walking over, I threw the lid to the dumpster open and lugged the bag over my shoulder and into the green bin. When I shut the thing, something caught my eye. A backpack, the same backpack the man had earlier. It looked wet, as if you had spilled a water bottle into the bottom of a bag. It hunched over in an odd position. You could tell there was something in it. Being a 16-year-old guy, curiosity got the best of me, and I mistakenly opened the thing. Inside was what I could assume was a body. It was a deep red and pink in places, or I think it was. The black inner lining of the backpack made it hard to tell for certain. It stank, much worse than the dumpster nearby, and I could see chunks of meat and little white things sticking every which way. It looked like roadkill that had been hit by several cars. I turned around, vomiting the little bit I had in my stomach. Tears sprang to my eyes as it turned into acid coming up. Or I think it was acid. I know for certain I lost all my lunch. I stumbled back around the building, crashing into the wall and trying to wipe the vomit that was dribbling down my chin. I stumbled through the doors, catching Hillary's attention immediately. I choked out the words, something about a body, and felt the need to vomit again. She grabbed the phone, dialing 911 and speaking frantically. I shoved past her into the one bathroom we had and stayed hunched over the toilet until the cops arrived. The rest of my evening and night was a blur. When the cops arrived, I was sitting on the nasty bathroom floor. I didn't care how gross it was. I couldn't bring myself to think of anything except what I had seen. I wanted so desperately to forget the horrid sight. A female officer came and found me, a shocked look appearing on her face as she saw my condition. "Hey there, you're Zach, right?" She sounded so soft, like a mother comforting their child after a nightmare. I could only nod in response. She sat beside me, putting an arm around my shoulder, and pulled me into a comforting hold. It felt like we sat there for hours, just the sounds of other officers and occasionally Hillary's voice piercing the silence. I don't remember exactly what happened. I was in and out of it through the rest of the night. My parents showed up. My mother frantically wrapped her arms around me. I gave my story to the officers. I couldn't talk to them without a guardian present, That's at least what my father explained to me later. Days turned into weeks, and weeks turned into months. I can't forget it, the smell and the sight. I told a few friends a few weeks after it happened, but I kept the gory details out of the telling. I couldn't bring myself to tell them what I saw. From what I have heard, the cops still don't know what happened. The body was unrecognizable. I'm honestly not sure how they even determined it was human, but I'm no forensic scientist. I never got any answers, nothing about DNA or whatever they do, nothing about the black Honda Civic. There was nothing. At least, not that anyone told me. Eventually, the case went cold, and nobody knows what happened to the body in the backpack.